This is Rafique Louison, and you are tuned in to Nothing But That Sports Talk. Get your head in the game. Yeah, the Liberty caught the smoke in Las Vegas. I said, welcome to this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. I'm Rafique Louison alongside Ryan Walker. Yeah, Ryan Walker, I'm sorry you couldn't come on the past couple of weeks because everything's been about the NBA draft. I mean, I was at the NBA draft last weekend. It was kind of average. Well, before we talk Liberty versus Aces, the really expected blowout that I expect to happen because they were playing in Vegas and not in Brooklyn. Why won't we start the conversation up by talking about New York versus New York, where Gersh and Dyckman picked up wins? Thoughts?
We spoke extensively off the air about the lovely NY Classic.
Yeah, before we got interrupted, but yeah.
Yes. The NY Classic is back. Nike is doing an invitational as usual for summer, which is always good. In the tri-state area for the kids, for the young kids of New York, Jersey, Philly, Connecticut. Even though it's New York versus New York, that just doesn't subject it to New York players per se. But it is good to see what they do every year, to give the kids that light and that opportunity, to have, that stage to perform with the Classic, and, just the memorabilia and the apparel that they get and the exposure and the opportunity, the coaches and the different people and stuff they're going to be around. And it was phenomenal to see the event at Tri-State. I actually, it's so crazy. I'm really trying to save all my energy and effort for next week when Dyckman starts. That's a whole different topic, to really start going into my summer ball mode, with top of crunch time and the other things that I do. So I'm trying to conserve my energy, because I know when that time comes for those next couple of weeks, I'm like 100 miles an hour, on top of maintaining work and, the kids and, everything with life. And so my guy asked me to go out. He was like, yo, let's go to a camp. He came to Crunch Time Sunday. And then he's mentioned it, and he was like, yo, but it might rain. That's what they were looking for. So I said, listen, if it rains, NY Classic is not going to get canceled because of weather. Remember, you have parents, families that are coming out from different places. So every time it rains, they always have a rain site. So I said, if it rains and it occurs, I'm pretty sure Nike's going to probably, being that it's tri-state, move to Gauchos, do it indoor, yada 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 yada. I've been working for NY Classic or with Nike with them with security in different realms. And on the day of rain, they still was like, no, show up. And then they already had the rain site worked out, and we had to leave from the regular site to go to the rain site. So I could have went. I didn't end up going. I said, what? I should have went. I said, I watch it online, because it is online. I believe on the what app is that? NBA. It's not Clash.
It's on the NBA app.
There it goes. You told me the NBA app. So I was watching online, and I was very happy because one of the kids, Aaron Goldstein, Instagram AG Ball Life, very good kid. Very good kid playing with Team Dyckman. And I watched him.
You watched about the Nike Switch Classic when he shut down South Shore.
100%. 100%. One of the teams that did get a victory off South Shore this season had a good team with Nas and Aaron. They had a very solid ball club. And, shout out to Aaron Goldstein going to the College of Staten Island full ride. His father's a great person too. The whole family, very nice people. But it's so crazy because we were at IS8, and my guy Ant, who's New York City Basketball Live, media-wise for people that don't know, who's very connected with Coach Blue, who for We Got Next Basketball and his assistant work that he does with the South Shore boys basketball team, had his own tournament, No Sleep Till Brooklyn. But before it started, I never forget, like the semifinal day, he was like, yo, we were looking for players and getting different players, and they have their team too. And the Rising Stars event was coming up, and we're looking for players. I was like, yo, I like that kid. He's got a game. He's like, yo, you should talk to him, see if he's playing. He's like, yo, he's under the radar. Like, a lot of people ain't really paying attention to him, but he's good. He was his variants with Nas. I said, he played with Nas, right? I said, yeah. So I just said, he's like, yo, go talk to him. His father's there. Went over to his father, introduced myself, spoke, mentioned the event that Mo 20 was doing with Rising Stars. He said, yeah, that sounds good. My son is actually would be available next week. I said, listen, I'll call them, make sure everything's good with them. As long as waiting, blah, blah, blah. See him the next day. Told him all about. He's like, yeah, I love that kid. That kid's good. He's like, yo, I was gonna try to shout out to him anyway to see if I could. I said, listen, I spoke to him directly. They want to play. He's like, yo, send me, boom, send him the info, lock it in. So I actually was the one who funneled Aaron Goldstein to Long Island, to the Rising Stars event to work for 20 Stars. And me and him and his pops still speak to this day. They have a great rapport. His pops used to hoop a little bit back in the days too. And it was so happy to see him so showcase. You see, they had a Magic Mel with him during the interview, who Mel's going to be a very good kid eventually. Him and Cardinal Hayes, DJ Victories playing on that Dyckman team. So it's a good way to start. Dyckman and Gersh normally always usually start off with a win, so that's normal to get into their gear. It's a 3-game season. It's not as lengthy as the other ones. So we'll see. And, Gersh looks incredible again. They have some of the kids that are on different teams. We talked about how Taj Bryant was playing on Gersh last year. Now he's playing on West 4th because Gersh played West 4th the first game. Yep. So, but Gersh has some good kids. They got Connor Spratley from Thomas Jefferson. Of course, they got Tristan Davis, a.k.a. Man from Jefferson. Oh, God, who else did I see on that team that's a good kid from Brooklyn? They got some, and they got one of the South Shore kids, Anthony Gilks, who was a top player from Jersey. He was not allowed to play this year for South Shore PSL. That's a whole different other story on why they didn't want to let that happen, but it is. But this year, that's what I told you. Watch out, South Shore this year. They're gonna be real mean in that PSAL.
Versus New York or in...
Well, the kid that I'm talking about plays. Anthony Gilks plays for the Gersh squad. Mm-hmm. And he's tough. He's top 100 in the top 100 right now. There's like a couple New Yorkers in there. He's in there, and for top 10 for New Yorkers, he's in regards to the seniors, the 2024 class. He's ranked 10. Ian Jackson's 1. You got Boogie Flan number 3. You have VJ Edgecombe at Luha number 2. God's Will is number 8, the guy at Luha. So everybody that's in there is like top kids. Elijah Moore, Cardinal Hayes, who's going to Syracuse, and Anthony Gilks is rated number 10 from that New York 2024 class of top kids, and he's in the top 100 as well. So long story short, great start for NY Classic. Monica McNutt did a phenomenal job. We don't have to talk about
to shout her out. Monica McNutt, a former guest on the show, on this platform. I mean, obviously, this was before we met at the Barclays Center. We already went over that story. I was just getting ready to shout her out when you were done talking. She did a phenomenal job with being the digital correspondent to New York versus New York. She covered the tournament last year. She covered the championship round of the tournament last year, and now she's doing the correspondence for the tri-state area. And I would hope, Monica McNutt, if you listen to this, that I get you back on the show eventually. I also saw it when I volunteered at # Sports. So yeah.
Yeah, we got to talk to her and broker her time, find some time. Listen, her such a busy, extensive schedule she has now, right? With ESPN and
she's on the air with ESPN, and well, obviously with the Knicks being all season, there's not really much of that issue you can do anyways. But she's also doing coverages for the WNBA and the NBA. But yeah,
100%. So just Monica McNutt was good. Cha-ching and Talk Spicy. How that 2-man combo go for what they do at the NY Classic. DJ Authorized, all those big Nike reps, Fish and those guys, the security reps. So it's phenomenal for what they do. All the different owners of the tournament, the gentlemen at Gersh, Kenny Stevens at Dyckman, so everything came together for the first day. I think how they're doing the schedule. The first time I probably, like I told you, probably go to NY Classic will probably be the time when they come to
Lincoln Park. Yeah, you told me that.
No, I'm going to go to Gersh. Gersh is going to be the first time I go.
Okay, I'm all for it. I'll be at Gersh too. You'll know where to see me.
It's 4 weeks away. They're Gersh site. So I'll do Gersh. And of course, when it's at Dyckman August 1st, that's my home base. So I'll be there without a doubt. And Lincoln Park, of course, the Final 4 round, because the Dyckman site Dyckman site is is the begin is because there's 6 teams. So Dyckman site is the first start of the playoffs. Lincoln Park is Final Four, and then the Rucker will be the championship. So that'll probably be how I do it, where I'll go Gersh, Dyckman, Lincoln.
And I remember you told me last year on the show that the only way you're gonna go to Gersh, the only way you'll go to the championship out of Rucker Park is if it's either Dyckman or Lincoln Park because you got close ties with them and Gersh Park too. So,
right. You know, if it's something that's crazy for the because one thing now I work on Saturdays, even though that stuff is later in the day anyway, so I'll always be able to make it. So that'd be the biggest thing too. Like I most likely will go anyway, even if Dyckman or somebody of significance is not in it, that I have a pony and a horse, but I know a lot of the kids. So, you know, somehow, some way, but like it'd be one of those things that if I go, I'll just go for that game because, you know, it'd just be so bedlam. And if I can't find somebody with a lane and say like, listen, get us good seats or get it. I'm not doing what we did last year at Rucker. That I'm not doing. You know what I mean? But so
that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm. That is not happening without a doubt. That for all that, I can find it online and watch. I've been through many years of doing it, being a part of it, working it, not being a fan inside. So, like I said, Gersh, that day is good. I can't miss I can't miss all the regular season games. And Gersh geographically is better for me to get to for that day. So I'll definitely do Gersh. Dyckman Park goes without saying. I'll be there for that without a doubt. That I won't have to worry about seating that day, and Lincoln Park because it's Queens and that will be a big day. There's no way we can miss that day. And then after that, it'll decide what we do for Rucker. But you know, we're getting off point. The NY Classic was a great start, phenomenal start. Another 2 weeks, they'll be in Watson in the Bronx. We'll see where that goes.
Yeah, and I was just getting ready to end the show by saying, yeah, look out because New York versus New York will be at Watson Park in 2 weeks from last Tuesday. So, yeah, look out for it. Now, on to my experience of attending the NBA draft in 2023. And even though the draft itself was kind of average outside the top 3, I did have a good time being able to interact with some of the people that knew that go there. I got to meet the Aliyah girl who's a guest on the show. She came with this young lady named Olivia that Victoria Joseph, that aka kind of introduced me to at the WNBA draft. She said, I feel like every time we run into each other is at drafts. Like seriously, I got to interview this young TikTok sports content creator named Lacey Brown. She was very phenomenal. She talked about how excited it is for Victor Wembanyama to come to the San Antonio Spurs. And then we transitioned into where I sat. I sat all the way up in the upper bowl seats. And yeah, I was still able to see everything. The excitement and build up to the draft picks was real. Everything else was kind of It didn't really. I feel like the draft didn't do enough to get people invested into these players. And Nick Hamilton said it best when he came on the show last weekend. They didn't do enough to market and promote all these players. I mean, they didn't promote Jordan Hawkins. He was part of the national champion UConn Huskies earlier this year. They didn't. The Thompson twins, they promoted them at least somewhat. But outside of that, nah, it just didn't. It just didn't excite me. Oh yeah, and I finally got to meet Michael Grady was there. I'm
listening to you. Go ahead.
I Begley, is an NBA insider. He was there. So yeah, that's pretty much my experience with the NBA draft. So yeah.
Your guy, well, did he say? He said they didn't. Like, he thinks they didn't market it. They're not. You know, if they're so concerned about the top part, the top heavy, they're like 1 through 10. They go heavy for, and they didn't even go that heavy for 1 through 10. It really was like 1 through 6. You know what I mean? Like 1 through 7.
And the Brooklyn Nets picks as well. Now I should know because I was with the crowd when they were hyping up the Brooklyn Nets picks.
And that's only significant because it was in New York. Like that's significant for us, for our fan base. And that's and that probably goes into what you and your guys saying to say that they should have marketed everything more with that to get that out there. It's crazy. Dariq Whitehead, one of the top players in the top player in Jersey coming out, one of the top players in the nation as a senior coming out, Duke University. His season won't show all the numbers because he was hurt. He played, but not all the games. And think about that. A McDonald's All-American, one of the top players in the country, coming out, goes to Duke University, gets drafted 22nd or 23rd, and if it wasn't for New Yorkers, how would we know about it? Like you said, so maybe they didn't do a good job with that. I think over the years with the draft, it seems like they've become so fixated on the top part that like everything else kind of goes under the radar. So you have certain drafts. This might be one of those drafts. I'm not saying it wasn't as entertaining. This might be one of those drafts that in 6-7 years, there's like a Nikola Jokic in the draft that nobody knew about. Not the same player, but Nikola was the 44th pick. We always talk about this. He was the 44th pick in the NBA draft.
And he
Go
won a
figure.
championship and he made the Denver Nuggets relevant. I mean, it took him time, but he made the Denver Nuggets relevant and won a championship against Miami.
Yeah. And so it's they were just, honestly, it was big, especially since they've been hyping it from before. They were only really concerned about Victor, Scoot, Brandon Miller, Amir, and Austin, the kids from Overtime, the two twins. And honestly, that really was the biggest things they were concerned about. But maybe they have to do a better job with it. And it's one of those things that I tell you, with NFL and even the NBA, sometimes not the number, it's where you get drafted into certain teams. There's certain guys in this draft that later on in the years we're gonna say, man, that kid that came out from there. So it's a sleeper draft, and it wasn't as big as the ones in the past. But even so, I'm still elated that you were there and got to be a part of the environment and see it, and be a part of it in those realms, which is still cool. And work and do the environment, and we'll see where these young men, end up and how they work out in the future. I think Victor is going to be solid. It's great that he went to San Antonio. I think Popovich and them will make sure that he's green white. They have a great history of working with big fellas. That should work out for him too. Brandon Miller going to Charlotte was great because honestly, LaMelo's already there as a point guard, so it didn't make any sense for Scoot to be there too. Brandon Miller's another guard that can help him in the backcourt. It'd be absolutely great, and he has a lot of potential, that kid. Scoot goes to Portland. I thought that was the final road for Dame Lillard. It seemed like they would be moving on, but based off what Portland says, they said they have no intentions of getting, and that's what they say. They have no intentions of they're going for. So Scoot Henderson is there with Dame. Great. The Amir, the Thompson twins, those kids are going to be, they have great upside, especially on the defense and the rebounding, how they can play. One's a better shooter than the other, but they can definitely play. And we're going to just see where, over time, where all these guys, where their future lies.
Exactly. And I know one thing for sure. It's not going to be better than 2003 draft. And we know what happened from there.
100%.
Yeah, and to continue the conversation about the NBA draft, I also got interviewed by this guy named Justin from the GameDay Hoops, and he was asking questions, asking them like, in 2 words, what do you think about Victor Wembanyama? Who you think is going to win a championship? And then who you think has the worst fan base in NBA history? And I kind of said, no disrespect, Knicks fans, but I was talking about you because if you really think about it, we are kind of the worst of the way. When we're winning a lot, every time we get 1 or 2 playoff games, all of a sudden it's a parade, a championship parade after every playoff win. But then when they lose, you cry, you wish Julius Randle was gone, you say they trash. I mean, we're not going to be good every year. So if in the way you think about it, I was kind of right about that. I don't know if you saw the video, but if you didn't, I'm going to.
I did.
But yeah, what are your overall thoughts?
Well, there's Knicks fans can be very interesting.
You a Knicks fan too?
I will say that. I've mentioned that where sometimes I think that we go a little bit overboard. The Knicks have trained me to not get too over the water. I've been with this through you throughout the years too. And sometimes they go, "Yo, right, the Knicks." I'd be like, Rafique, the Knicks are gonna lose eventually. It's gonna happen, and you'd be all right. So I've been doing this for a long time with the Knicks, so I'm not gonna get myself too high because just when you get too high with the Knicks and you're completely sold and bought in, the bubble bursts, and um, that's why I was glad to see what happened a few years ago, but then not glad. I spoke to you about that. I said, "Are we really having a whole like 34th Street bonfire for one win against the Atlanta Hawks in Game 2, where Trae Young beat us in Game
That
1?"
was the first
But
playoff game they won in 8 years at the time.
right, and this is to one of your points to say why we can't do stuff like that, because then when it bites us in the face, we I was just arguing with the guys in the back. It's like sometimes you got to know as a fan, but I can't fight with a Celtics or a Laker fan. I don't have any thing to say for them for conversation wise, especially being a Knicks
Yeah,
fan,
because the
because
Celtics,
of the
because the Celtics and Lakers, they have the most championships combined. The Lakers are big
correct.
finals, but they are losing. But the Celtics have they tied with the most championships in NBA franchise history. So in NBA league history. So we have nothing to say about them, but we can talk about how bad they are currently. We can never disrespect their championship history.
Yeah, there are other fan bases that are very interesting. Like they're not bad, but like a Miami Heat fan base. Miami Heat fan base don't give a crap about no basketball. Some of them do, some of them don't. They care about going on South Beach right after the game to go have a good time. Sometimes you look in the stands, there's nobody there first, even though they sold the tickets out, then they'll fill in. Miami's such a party place that, and it's a football region that even like look at their crowds and how they were at home compared to the Knicks home crowd. Like Knicks home crowd is rabid. Like even though the Knicks didn't do anything, we had the most electrifying home games in the postseason this year with the crowd, the energy, the loudness, and go from there. But the Knicks, we got to do better, and that's because we ain't won. These guys ain't won, and every time the Knicks do something that's great, everybody goes crazy with it. I remember a couple of years ago, the Knicks started off so good. Oh, Knicks, Knicks started from the old man. I said, I told you that. So not you, but I did see your video. I thought it was cute. I said, look at this son of a gun, this pro New Yorker,
I'm just
this
saying,
Brooklyn net. But it was good. It was insightful.
What you were saying? You saying this son of a gun? What?
I said this son of a gun, this Brooklyn net, New York Knick, New Yorker lover supporter in general. I said, oh Lord, look at her get on there and just bash one of our New York teams right away. But it had premise and it had points. So what can you do? You just got to just roll with the punches.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I picked the New York Knicks to win the championship next year, and then he was like, "You got a Nets jersey on."
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely need a drug test for that one. I'll tell you, I'm gonna put a dollar bet in Vegas because you might make it happen. You usually
Listen,
are
I don't
good
do
with
drugs. I keep
predictions.
telling you that. Why do you think I'm always
Yeah,
calm, cool, and collective ever since you met me?
well, yeah, but when you start saying the Knicks are gonna win the NBA Finals, I have to question your I have to figure out something to say what. Why would you pick such a euphoric answer response? Well, hey, let's see. That would be the happiest person in if they did. But yeah, he has to get you with that. Like, you're picking the Knicks, bro. You have a whole Brooklyn Nets uniform on, bro. Like, what are you talking about? So it is what it is. LIU Sharks
It's
and
not going to be relevant with just Markel Bridges. They'll still be playoff team, but they're not going to be that relevant. So yeah. But yeah, since we're on the subject to talk about the New York Knicks and the NBA free agency is coming up, and there are some discussions about the Knicks being involved in showing interest in getting James Harden to come to the New York Knicks. And then there's also conversations about the Knicks getting Paul George. But let me ask you something. If you were Knicks GM, which player would you pick? James Harden or Paul George?
well, Paul George, without a doubt, to me. These guys here today, not too long ago, mentioned this James Harden thing to me. I didn't know anything about that. I mean, James Harden is going to be a Hall of Famer. He's one of the greatest, scorers and offensive machines that we've ever seen play this game of basketball. A dynamic player, MVP, scoring title, gold medal winners in the Olympics, carried Houston for years. I've always actually made points to advocate for James Harden more than some people who've been against him. Like some people, postseason, and I'd be like, well, he did have good things he did in the postseason. Nevertheless, as great as I think Harden is, he's not James Harden of 6 years ago, but he still can play basketball at a pretty good, decent level. He's also on the back end of his career. So I'm concerned about what the Knicks are thinking about in regards to acquiring him. And then remember, sometimes talks are just talks. You can talk about a deal. That doesn't mean that it's going to actually occur. So, but I'm just concerned because James Harden is a point guard / two guard, but he's really a point guard at the end part of his career. You already have a point guard and you already have a left-handed point guard, which you already have 3 left-handers in your starting lineup as it is. So I'm trying to figure out what that equation is, unless RJ Barrett is a part of the deal. I don't know. So, and he needs the ball in his hands. I don't know. And then the first New York go-around where the team didn't work out. So I'm kind of very apprehensive about it. I heard it, though. I mean, if they get it, it's an upgrade. It's not like Harden's a scrub. It's just going to be figuring out how exactly it's going to work here, what they're going to do. And I hope Tom Thibodeau is going to be all right sometimes if James Harden doesn't play defense, because remember, James Harden is not the greatest defender. He's not as bad as what social media and the world tries to perceive him as that, but the defense is not his strongest suit. So I hope that that's all the things.
I remember an episode we did a few years ago, like 3 or 4 years ago. We talked about the block James Harden had to get some complete under the bubble.
Correct.
So he's had some expensive moments, but
so that you're 100% right. So, if they talk about it, I think Paul George is a better fit. He's a taller shooting guard. He can play in the backcourt with him, with Brunson. And that's what my guys are. He's like the only Achilles heel we can talk about with Paul George's career is his durability. He's had times where he's not been healthy on the court. He has major injuries, which he's come back from. His durability and unbelievable how people are taking the bubble year. He did have the anxiety thing. He didn't play well in the bubble that year. People have taken that postseason and put it on George like he's never been clutch or productive in the postseason before, which I told God, I said that was absolutely ridiculous. The first couple of years on the Indiana Pacers, Paul George was astronomical on that team. There are times that he almost helped the Pacers try to get past the Miami Heat. They took the Heat to 7 games twice in those days.
Actually, it's only one time. It was in 2013, 7 games, and then the 2012 second round,
6 games,
14 conference finals. They went only 6 games. Let's not forget
6 games.
I follow Paul George's career during that time with the Pacers, and we as Knicks fans know what it's like to lose to Paul George. Imagine him coming on our side for once.
I would love to see him here. The biggest thing would be just us trying to keep him healthy. As long as he's healthy on that court, that's one of the top shooting guards in the league. Shooting guard, small forward, however you want to consider his position. I'll take him. I think his game fits great for us. He defends. And you don't have to worry about Thibodeau teaching him, rebounding, doing that, and does other things. He'll add a whole different dynamic to the Knicks if they get him. And believe it or not, if they add a guy like that, if they add Paul George, I feel more comfortable with the Knicks being able to make a deeper push into the playoffs to get to the 3rd round, or maybe even more because of him. I don't think they can do that with James Harden. No disrespect. And Harden is a good player. I just personally, you can prove me wrong. I just personally don't think that he, at this stage of his career, with the team we had, can be the one to push us over the button. You put Paul George on this Knicks roster now, that just happened in the postseason, they'll go to the 3rd round, without a doubt.
Without question.
So we'll see, though. It's a lot of talks and a lot of parts. We'll see where everybody ends up ending up after this crazy summer. Next summer is going to be crazy too.
Yeah, these next few summers is gonna be crazy, especially with the new agreed upon CBA.
Yep.
And the possibility of adding more NBA teams. One of them going to Vegas, another going to Seattle. I welcome an NBA team to go back to Seattle and Vegas as well, because why not? Vegas sports is popular right now. Look at the Aces.
Yep. Aces.
Speaking of the Aces,
Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, I know. But
Oakland Athletics are most likely going to Vegas, right? We're hearing 80%.
We look forward to it. But speaking of the Aces, they smoked the New York Liberty.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not that surprised. I mean, the Aces are the one threat to the New York Liberty make it to the NBA Finals, or not. But we know what we got ourselves into. We know what we signed up for when building up this hype towards the Super Team matchup. You pretty much got more of the same. I talked to Agent Wilson earlier today, and I don't know if you saw my interview I just published on Instagram, but I spoke to her earlier in the day, and she always said the Liberty have been a good franchise and a good team, regardless of the roster they put together. They have players that know how to shoot under the stars, and I understand where she's coming from, but you think your team did give them the smoke. And Gersh Parker got back to be the Gersh Parker of old. So thoughts on the first game with the Aces and Liberty?
What did I tell you was going to be the WNBA Finals?
Liberty versus Aces.
Who did I tell you I think is going to win it?
The New York Liberty.
No.
I mean the Aces.
I picked the Aces for that. I don't think that this year will be ready to beat that. But I think if they go up and listen, Connecticut's Sun are really good, even though we just beat them in their house. So we know what we can do.
Even though Breonna Jones is out for the season. So that's one less threat to worry about. Breonna Jones
is one less threat to worry about. And
I wish her well and recover from her injury.
Yes.
Recover from a season-ending injury. I'm sorry you're not going to get to play for the rest of the year. Yeah, but aside from that, you still got Alyssa Thomas, who should have been voted All-Star. She has the most triple doubles in the season.
Right.
But go ahead.
The Washington Mystics are also to be thought about in the Eastern Conference. They beat us the first game of the season. We know how Ella Deladorn is an absolute stud. We know how Ella and Brianna go at it like oil and vinegar. So that will always be a test for us, even though I believe Washington beat us first game of the season, but we came back and beat Washington the other day, right? Am I saying this?
Last Sunday. We had to come back from
correctly?
Down.
Right. So, I think the Liberty can beat anybody in the Eastern Conference. I stand on this, where I think they're better than every team in the Eastern Conference, even with Connecticut still being in their seeding. Even if the young lady didn't get hurt, I still believe that we are the best team in the Eastern Conference. So just like I said, barring no major injuries, as long as we got a Brianna and a Sabrina on the court with the other cast, and Lane's so important too, that I thought that we were going to go to the WNBA Finals regardless. Only major injuries in my eyes can stop us from going there. When we get there, most likely at the other end will be the Las Vegas Aces. And listen, anything can happen on both sides. But if we go against this Aces team, unless it's serendipity or unless the Aces play their worst during that week, we're not ready now to beat that team. This is a championship contending that team, and then the acquisition that they added is a champion and an Olympian. So that is a well-tuned juggernaut. The only thing that can stop the Aces right now is a major injury.
Yeah,
because they're at home, they're phenomenal. If we get them back in in Brooklyn, we might get a victory, but that's going to be the only team. I said it to the guys in the back. I said, listen, that's the team. I got a coworker that now I'm surprised. And he's like, yo, I want to take my daughter to the Liberty game. I said, what? When do you want to go to the Liberty game? Holy crap. Like, wow.
I went to
yeah,
Liberty
the ladies play too.
Real nice, real nice. You've been going to Liberty games your whole life. I've been going to Liberty games since 2021. I've covered Liberty since 2020. I've covered the Aces since 2020. Real nice. Where did this come from?
Exactly.
Just stop it.
Exactly.
Education stuff before you talk about going to games. I've been watching Liberty since the Garden days in 06. You know that 10-year anniversary season where Beckham played their final season for the team before being traded to the Silver Stars, and the Liberty were absolutely egregious. The Chicago Sky franchise just started. There was a certain team that was defending champions in Sacramento called the Monarchs, who the Detroit Shock.
Oh my goodness, the Sacramento Monarchs.
The Detroit Shock beat them in Game 5 in playoff fashion. That went 5 games. A year later, they win 5 games. The Detroit Shock got smoked at home. They probably wouldn't have won a championship if Swing Cash hit that buzzer beater in Game 4. I remember watching that.
Wow. Sacramento Monarchs. Who used to be the big lady that used to be on that team? She was an intimidator in the post, score.
Like that.
Right on Sacramento. Yeah. She listen, when he said that to me, I said, wow, welcome to 2023. I'm glad you're not a male chauvinist no more. 2, women play basketball too. And 3, I said, did you fall and bump your head? Because what now you're talking about going? Wow. Whoa. So he said his daughter is 21. His daughter's coming in town next week from Florida. So he took off 2 weeks from work. He's like, and I think I ran the idea to him. I was like, listen, bro. And I ran it to you. I said, I went to a Liberty game for $22. My ticket was $22. I bought it online with taxes and surcharge. It came up to $32. Me and my son went to a game. I said it was very affordable. We still sat very decent where I could see a good part of the game. I love women's basketball. I love the Liberty. So it's a joy for me to go. And the tickets are super affordable. And that's why it's so hard to believe. I mean, different cities and different markets, but just in general, men and women, if you like any kind of basketball and you support your city and your town it is, as affordable as the seats are, we should be, with as many people we have in New York, there should always be a sellout there. There should always be a sellout throughout all of these stadiums. If I can buy a ticket for the Liberty for $22 to sit where I sat in New York, then how much is the ticket for the friggin' Connecticut Sun? $7? You know what I'm saying? How much is the ticket? Because remember, New York has one of the highest markets for ticket prices in general, in all sports, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So that means that whoever these people are in these outside states, for whatever it is, for all their teams, us too, everybody, because it is affordable, we should go to support it, period. If you could spend $200 to watch the Knicks lose, 3, 4, 1,000, if you could watch Brooklyn lose, if you could spend your money for the Giants, 4 or 5 games, Jets, and trust me, football tickets are not cheap. I'll tell you about that. If you can do that, then we can be able to support this. And for the prices that it is, the Liberty will be fine. When he said that to me, I said, yeah, you can go to a game for a very good price. Take your daughter there, and they got a good product. And he mentioned to me, he said, oh, they play Vegas, the best teams. And I said, yes, that's right. I said, most likely they're going to lose. And I just checked the score. He said, check this out. I said, 90, 81. I said, Vegas is on a whole different level. Okay? They're
great. This New York Liberty team just came together. What do you expect? I expect
right.
I'm not blind. But if it's
Parker, Gray, Wilson,
the Liberty will take them out. I promise you that.
This year or next year?
This year. If it's any other team, if it's a team that's not the Aces, if it's Aces, we know we're going to get smoked.
Oh.
No matter what.
If the Aces don't go to the finals, we're winning it all. Period.
Exactly. And you know what? I mean, this comes from a guy that went to Liberty again where like back over 2 years ago, where they were only allowing like 20 people in the stands before they finally started to open it up to full capacity. There were only like 20.
Correct.
Yeah, but I couldn't even sit where I sat against Chicago Sky 2 years later because of COVID. Yeah, it was just a bad
COVID
time.
decimated everything, and oh man, COVID changed our whole lives with that stuff, man. Right?
Yeah, I know, but I'm glad we're past the worst. I'm glad we're past the worst of that. And you found, ever since then, you saw the full capacity of 3 fans. And you know what? One of my friends kept telling me that the Liberty and WNBA teams in general, they do not sell out teams like do not sell out games like that. They don't.
They don't. No, they don't.
There's people like him
There was
that
a
selling out games years ago when the league just started. It was a sellout.
yeah,
Sellout. And I watched the documentary. They talked about how the sellout is lacking, and already talked about
yeah.
how not that many reporters covered it. But yeah,
Let me tell you something, Rafi. I didn't even know that we had suites for the games. They have suite boxes. Like I know the stadium has suites. I didn't know that that was a part of the ticket package. I'm looking up in the suites. I'm like, yo, Alex, my son Alex. I'm like, they got. I said, those are people up there in those suites. I said, man, next time I'm going online, there's going to be sometime this year I'm going to look up the suite price. I want a suite.
it's called about it's in the 200s and 300s and 400s instead of the suites to watch a game for the suites. I know I looked it up a million times. If you don't believe me, we can look up together when we get off the air. But yeah, it costs at least that much. But yeah,
200 per head, right?
Yeah, per head. It depends on where you sit
Okay.
at for VIP. It depends on where you sit at for VIP and courtside. Yeah, it costs at least $200 minimum to sit up there.
I would pay that money for me and my son, or if I went individually, because I know what you're getting with it. You know, you have a TV screens right there that you can watch it inside. You get a different direct view of what's going on upper part of there. But the services that you get, that you pay for it, that comes with it. You know, of course, the food, the beverage, yeah, and
And
just the
and sitting courtside. It doesn't cost
right.
Jeez. Yeah.
But yeah, I knew Vegas was gonna get them. If Vegas gets to the finals and we get there, that's where I'm gonna cheer for the Liberty, and I want us to win. But I know in my heart that as long as they're both full strength, the Aces are more talented on the roster. They're more championship experienced and savvy. And when you add one of the greatest winners in the WNBA history with Candace Parker, that just elevates your standards. Becky Hammond is a phenomenal coach, and that probably would hurt if we had to play her. She was an ex-Liberty and never won, but she was great as a Liberty and comes back as a coach to win against us. That'll be a part of the narrative. But they're better, so that's the only team. And if we lose to Connecticut in the playoffs, I'm not going to be a happy camper. If we lose to
Washington,
what's the other team? The Washington Mystics, I'm not going to be a happy camper,
yeah,
especially
you weren't a
since I
happy
always
camper
won 3.
when drinking. Chrissy Tolliver hit 9 3-pointers on the New York Liberty back at the Garden in 2017 in a single
Nope,
elimination.
nope. Oh God! Oh, don't talk about that again.
I'm sorry, I had to put that in your brain. I was watching that. Well, I mean, I was like, we were up by 15. How you let the Mystics come back and smoke you like that at the Garden? How you let that happen? You're not the New York Knicks.
Tally made every shot. She made every shot. Delhi was they was that Tina Charles? I mean,
Tina Charles.
Oh Jesus! We turned into the most horrific defensive. We were playing DL. We turned into the most horrific defensive team in that series.
You about 15.
And then we couldn't hold the lead. I mean, it was just, oh man, nightmare on 34th Street. But it was absolutely excruciating.
Unlike the New York Knicks, they got out of 34th Street and they're playing in Atlantic Avenue. So
yeah, Brooklyn, because wow. But I'm hoping, yeah. But as long as they don't lose to if they lose to anybody else, because I feel like they're still better than every other team, then it will be a tough one. But you lose to the Vegas Aces, you need to tip your hat to them because they're really talented, and you just use that experience and poise for the next year. Because I think if they lose against Vegas, that'll be enough of the drive, add 1 or 2 little role player pieces, and make a push for that chip. Or, still try to put it in your aspirations. Listen, anything can happen. Like I said, Vegas can get there if we both get there. Vegas could get there and play their worst week of their life that week. Vegas could get there. Maybe Liberty get better and gel by a certain time so they can take down that big Goliath by the end of the year. Maybe Vegas doesn't get to the finals and the Liberty do, and the Liberty are more better against the other opponents. Who knows? Maybe Vegas gets there, Liberty don't get there. There's so many, subplots. But we both know, because we studied the WNBA, that us losing by 17 tonight to the Vegas Aces is not a disappointment. They played 14 times. They're 13-1. That means they've done it to 13 other teams, including us. It was really good. So Vegas is Plum, Gray, Parker, Wilson, and it's like 4 girls who I'm forgetting about. So
Crystal Bell, freaking Kyla George.
Oh, Jesus. I looked at the stat sheet. I said, Jesus. I said the only person I think that didn't score tonight was the assistant coach. Everybody on their roster it's like 2 players who didn't have points.
Started 14-1. The last team to start off this good and won a championship to Los Angeles Sparks in 2016. We all remember what happened that year, the most phenomenal 5-game series you will ever see in WNBA Finals history. Courtesy of, guess who?
Candy?
And Chelsea Gray.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
That put back.
What?
That was legendary.
Was that the one where the Sparks lost? Or
the one with the Sparks won? They won in 2016.
They won that one. The year before they had lost, right? Was it? Or am I getting that wrong or right?
No. The Sparks won in 2016, but then a year later, the Minnesota Lynx came back and beat them down. And they played at the and they had to play the finals at the University of Minnesota. I don't know what the hell was that all about.
That was absolutely horrific. Horrific.
Then bounced back and beat them in a single elimination game. So, yeah, Candace Park has a strong history with the Minnesota Lynx, who had a game-winning shot, courtesy of Nafisa Collier against the Seattle Storm.
This is true.
So, yeah, while we continue this conversation, this Wednesday starts off this location, New York, Nike Pro City, right in this school. I'm rocking the t-shirt.
See with that LIU. Man, well, what I was going to say was part of me. Can you hear me again now?
Thank you.
Yeah, I took the AirPods off for a second. I'm so sorry. Man, you guys got a great tournament. You guys going to be hosting. I have good news and bad news about that. If Wednesday, I'm going to go opening day Dyckman. However, precipitation is around in the forecast. It might not keep, going away. Meteorology is the only job you get paid to guess. So with that being said, who knows what's going to happen in a few days. By Tuesday, we'll have a better perception of how the weather shall be for Wednesday. If there is rain in the forecast and Dyckman gets alleviated because of precipitation, then after that, instead of going to Dyckman, I will be at Pro City opening day. If there's precipitation. If not, then my first time entering the building for Pro City will be most likely that next Monday or Wednesday, because I want to at least try to see all the teams. I like to go to Dyckman for the first 5 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever it is, to see what the schedule of who's normally going to play and to get an eye test of all the teams. Once I get an eye test and I see everybody pretty much play, I'm good. Now I can pick and choose when to come throughout the year for the certain games. Once I get that, I'm going to invest into Pro City because they're going to do some big things in Brooklyn this year. I'm telling you, Joe Pope, DJ Authorize,
Julian
Aaron Ballers. They're going to have nothing but pros. It's Pro City. They're going to have nothing but New York guys as pros. I mean, it's going to be phenomenal. They have a lot of great ideas there. There's going to be great media outlets there. I'm still trying to plug that in with you. I'm still trying to plug it in with my other guys, a good kid, Matty Ice. Shout out to Matty. Maddie does his media thing with pictures and stuff, covers some things at Crunch Time. He's always in this. As a matter of fact, he was at NY Classic yesterday because I seen some pictures he shot. To my man Eblenzi, who shot some good pictures. QS visitors, some really decent meet. I mean, of course, Aaron was there. Shay Days, my number ones, but so young upcoming ones. Maddie was there. I was very proud, happy to see him. Man, do work. He's been doing work with different outlets for a while. He comes to Crunch Time as well. I'm trying to get him in that lane where Aaron is too, so they can get a media pass. Just got to get back to me with that. And but it's going to be great. So whether media works out past you or not, man, bro, we got to make sure that we go into Pro City pretty frequently this summer.
Without question. Now, earlier this week, and we already talked about this off the air. The Yankees had a perfect game against Oakland Athletics. I mean, rest in peace, Oakland. They're mediocre. They've been mediocre all season, but to be a victor of a perfect game, it's not too surprising. The offense is horrendous.
And you're being very nice. You said mediocre, which mediocre usually means like you're a little bit average and slightly underneath. No, they're not mediocre. They're the worst team. They're the worst record team in baseball. So, yeah, well, you know, it's so comical because our great friend Patrick, B-ball for life. Oh man, I love the guy, bro. One of my best friends in this world, and I tell you, he can be so euphoric sometimes about just his whole premise. So I'm gonna be very honest. I'm not, you know me. I'm not the guy that likes to call and break chops all the time and send a text and send a call. Yo, you suck. Yo, you lost. I'll let you live in your wallow. You know what I mean? I don't know. My mama taught me different. I don't like to kick a man when he's down. I'm only gonna kick a man when he's down when I try to go help him and he kicks my foot away. So if you down and I'm trying to help you and you kick my foot away from down, oh yeah, then I'm gonna kick you down and I'm gonna let you know about it. So the Mets have the highest payroll in baseball. Their payroll is $353 million. Okay? The Yankees are second. It's $252 million, which means the Mets have $100 million more payroll than we do, right? They are 11 to 12 games under 500 now. And I can tell you this much. I can't move up my phone right quick, but if you can bring up a mathematical score of the Mets, what are they, 36?
And 46.
They're 36 and 46, right?
Mm-hmm.
And trust me, Rafique, I didn't go to LIU like you or Fordham. I am not that intelligent. So I'm going to try to do my best with this arithmetic. 6 plus 6 is 12, right?
Yeah.
3 plus 4 is 7. You have 1 added to the top. So that's 82. 162 minus 82. What is that number?
You have like 80 something. You have like 82 games remaining.
There's 82 games remaining. Okay?
36
so
45. 36
I get it.
45.
I get it. I can count. I didn't go to, and this is me being funny, I didn't go to my great schools like my man Rafique to be able to count this. So I get it. There's 82 games left. There's 162 games in the season. So mathematically, they're inclined. But I'm telling you realistically, they're done. The season is over for them. They spent all that money. They talk about us all those years with that payroll. They have the highest payroll.
The wild card.
Wild card. The only way they can play wild card is if they go to Vegas and play cards. That's the only wild card they'll get from poker or Yahtzee or whatever. Listen to me when I tell you this.
The Mets lost 8 consecutive series. They have not won a series since they took 2 out of 3 against the Phillies in Citi Field. The Mets have been so egregious all month. It's not even funny. In the month of June. Justin Verlander for this.
What day was that? On June 14th, me and my coworker, when I was on vacation, went to the Mets. The Mets had 32 wins now. They have 36 now. So the I had to break his chops because I always used to tell him, and he used to tell me the Yankees and stuff. I said, having the highest payroll in any sports doesn't guarantee you winning. It just means that you have a higher luxury tax. That's all that means.
From May 30th to June 1st, they swept the Phillies, and after that, they went on like a little 7-game lose streak, and that pretty much messed up everything.
Everything.
They have not won since.
But these are some of the things that I laugh about because the guy said to me, he was trolling me with something. I hit him back, and we go back and forth. Oh yeah, the whole LeBron Mike thing. So we've been doing that for weeks, but then it quieted down. That stopped, and then
until next season start.
So I got around him the other day because when I was on vacation, God bless his soul, we met up in the neighborhood, and we rode out to Queens to go get my daughter. And my daughter spent the weekend with me, and my mom's at the house, so it was really, really good. You know, usually she's in Queens, me, her, and the mommy. And during the back, you know, we talk sports, talk a little things here. And then eventually at one point, you know, we went into the baseball and stuff. And I kept it real. It's like I told my coworker in the back, here's the reality, as much as we're getting on the Yankees and Mets. I don't think the Yankees are doing anything this year. I think the Yankees mathematically can still get a wild card, and I still think they will get into postseason. I do think they will get into postseason. I think they can get to the first round. They possibly could get out there. I'm not happy. I'm not confident about what they're going to do after that. So unless something dramatically happens, or unless serendipity, or unless they put Genie in a bottle and turn into a buzzsaw out the blue during the postseason, from my rent money, I'm not going to say they're going to win the World Series, right? So I didn't have the Yankees going too far this year. I said, what did I tell you? I said 90 to 95 wins the most. They might not even get to 99. Listen, you might be able to get a playoff boast in the American League with 85 to 88 wins, or 89, because if anybody's not paying attention to the AL Central, the Minnesota Twins are in first place, and they are 40 and 42. Did you hear what I just said? They're 40 and 42. They're 2 games under 500.
Wow.
And they're in first place. Pull that division up if you can real quick. I'm saying this. Do you see how egregious? Do you see that division? And this is why I know I watch and study baseball.
That division. How is that possible? You know what? Better baseball teams.
Everybody else is beating up on them. And listen, that first place team, if the season ends today, you guys send the Twins to the playoffs. They 40 and 42, and they're in first place. So with that being said, mathematically, the AL Central is probably going to get one team, the division winner, right? Just mathematically, even though things can change. So that leaves plenty of slots because the American League East is a dogfight. Tampa Bay is absolutely, they're on a whole different cloud of baseball in baseball life. The Baltimore Orioles are, this is not an aberration. I'm going to say this now. The Orioles are good.
Without
the world, please stop it. This ain't the Orioles. They are good. They have hitting and pitching. They are good. This is so Baltimore is ahead of us. We're in third place. We're trying so. Do you know how the Yankees have to pretty much try to sweep the Cardinals this weekend because they have a 4-game set next week against Baltimore. So if you need to get anywhere mathematically close, you have to either split or win 3 out of 4 from the Baltimore Orioles. You have to catch up. So
Domingo just had a perfect game, but on the other hand, he is 5-5 on the season in his starts. He is throwing about like 4.62 ERA. So ERA is concerned. So the fact that he managed to get a perfect game off the Oakland A's, that's a victory. That's a major moment. And I talked about this with this young girl named Samantha who recently graduated for them on the show. I mean, I don't know if you watched it. She gave her perspective on it. You can watch the full episode on YouTube. And we just talked about how phenomenal that moment was, and how phenomenal like Ryan Ruocco and Justice Shacko, who was another friend that was on the show like 3 years ago, got to call that game, and it was amazing. A perfect game. Not to take away from Domingo Uman's moment, but he is 5-5 with a 4.62 ERA. So he's prone to give up runs.
4.62 because everybody doesn't understand baseball like me too. That means he's giving up basically 5 runs a game. That's what that means. And that's not usually productive in the MLB. But you're 100% right. God bless him. Only 24 people in the history of Major League Baseball, in the history, from all the pitchers we had, 24 pitchers in history. Yankees have done it 4 times. Only 24 teams in the history of baseball have pitched a perfect game. I don't think people really understand how hard it is to really do that, to pitch a perfect game. No hits, no walks, no runs, nothing. Nobody got on base.
We're not perfect in life. What do you expect?
Man, the only thing the Mets guys could tell me, this jerk, can you believe? Let me tell you what he tells me. This jerk, my best friend, Patrick, okay, had the nerve. First of all, he texted me the day we lost to the Athletics. And this is his new battle cry. I forgot what we were going back on. He was like, oh, that's what I started it. I ain't gonna lie. I opened up the can of worms, Feek. I haven't broke his chops on no baseball. A few weeks ago, I told him, I said, the Yankees and Mets, I don't think are both going nowhere. You're not going to qualify for the postseason. If you don't get better by All-Star break, the owner said he's going to start fire sailing and sending guys left and right, which means the team is going to get blown up. Alonso's not hurt. Verlander's not living up to the contract. I told him that. Verlander is not worried about baseball no more. He's a Cy Young winner, an NBA and an MLB champion. On top of that, he has Kate Upton and $80 million in New York. What the hell is he worried about baseball for? Okay? And I said, Scherzer's a little older, and you gave away Jason DeGrom. You didn't give him away. He went free agency. He was done with that franchise. Jason DeGrom is out for the rest of the season. I told him remember I told you too, I said Texas Rangers are going to be better this year. Texas Rangers had hitting last year. You know what they didn't have? Pitching. Now they got a little bit of that. Go look who's number 1 in that division.
The one who's in the division? Yeah, the Texas Rangers are number 1.
Without DeGrom. So what I said to him was, I said, oh, no wonder I haven't heard anything from the Mets people in New York. You hear the crickets? I said, oh, yes, I get it. You're 11 games under 500. You're the 4th place team in the division. You spent $354 million for your payroll. And you stink.
To get to World Series just for this.
And you stink. And the only thing that you can say to me is that we split against you guys in the series. Are you kidding me? You stink. You're 11 games under 500. You're 17 and a half back of the Atlanta Braves. 17 and a half, which is 18, guys. Okay, you that's how far you are from first place. You have to do astronomical things just to get into the wild card position. I don't believe, and I think it's over. When they hit, they cannot pitch, and when they pitch, they cannot hit, and they haven't had the consistency of both. And because of that, to me, they are done. And so what I said to him with that, I said, oh, now you don't remember baseball anymore. I get it. I know what's going to happen. You're not going to go to the playoffs. You're not going to talk to me about baseball. You're going to call me when the Yankees lose at the end of the year in the postseason to say, because that's your orgasm, to say that you had a season. Because remember, it's always better when the Yankees lose compared to when you win. And then you're going to call me to remember about baseball, because his biggest thing was, oh, remember, whoever laughs first, laugh last. I said, don't poke at the bear. I said, poke at what bear? I said, see, you're messing up a metaphor. Poking at the bear in sports means you're poking at somebody that's good or usually did great. You're not a bear because you don't do anything. So there is no poking at the bear. I can't poke at an animal that's dead. You're dead. You're not a bear. There's nothing to poke at. So with that being said, I said, there is no consequences. I'm going to tell you what you are going to do because you don't have any choice. The Mets are not going to go. Your season is over. You're going to continue to go to games and waste your money to watch that disgusting product. And then on top of that, what you're going to do is you're going to call me in October if the Yankees don't qualify for a season, or if we go to the wild card and play and lose, or if we get to the first round and lose, and then you're gonna say, and I'm gonna be like, but you haven't, you were eliminated 5 months ago. You know, and you're talking to me, it's my man. So you're talking to me about winning? Stop it and go from there. So now he pokes back. Oh, he's going back and forth. I said, bro, I told you a couple weeks ago, I don't think any teams are going far. But you are so caught up in the euphoria with the Mets that you don't never come to the realization when things are not working out for you. You talk about me, Francisco Lindor is not working out for you. You talk about Peter Alonso. I said, Peter Alonso is not better than Aaron Judge. Why are you talking to me about Peter Alonso? I don't care. And the biggest end part of the story I'm telling you is now, he texts me. I didn't text. He texted me after we lost to Oakland. Oh, how you guys could lose to the worst team in baseball. And
only one game with the 3-game series. Yankees series.
I said, whoa. Wow. Okay. That's cute. I'm getting ridiculed from a person who's 11 games under 500, who has not won a series this month, who before that lost 8 games straight, had another time of losing 6 games straight. But this is who I'm getting criticized from. No, the Braves are not talking crap to me. No, Jesus Christ, the Minnesota Twins at 40 and 42 can tell me something. You're telling me something? Got you. I said, heard you. Text the next day. We went back and forth. Next day, text, oh, see, your Yankees got a perfect game from a guy who beat up his wife 4 years ago. And which is true. Domingo Herman had a domestic dispute. He was a damn idiot. He should have made better decision on that. But I said, look how unclassy you are. A perfect game has only happened 24 times in the history of baseball. And you can't even tuck your pride for one text to say, you know what? Man, you guys did something incredible last night. Shout out to Domingo Herman for pitching a perfect game, which is phenomenal.
My interview with Samantha early in the last episode.
Your comment was, great stuff by a guy that beat up his wife with domestic dispute. Look out, he's probably going to hit her again. Whoa.
Disrespect.
I said, wow, bro. Wow. Nobody in Mets history has ever pitched a perfect game. Yankees have done it 4 times in their history. It's done 24 times in life, which is super difficult to do. And that's the way you send me love. I said, you can pay for school, but you can't buy class. I said, you don't understand that the reason why the Mets don't have success is because of the fan base. You guys have a dark cloud over your own team. I don't hate the Mets. I like the guys on the team. I don't like the fans.
That's the Stephen A. Smith Cowboy fans mentality right there.
And so this Domingo Herman was amazing. Great performance. I turned it on in the 6th inning and watched the rest on. I was on the edge of my seat too. I wanted him to get it. He got it. God bless him. He's not having a great year. He is 5-5. You are 4.62 ERA. Hopefully you can take yesterday's performance, bottle it up into time to. I don't expect you to do a perfect game every day. Of course, that's unrealistic, but pitch better. And you do need to get into line with some things. Remember, Domingo Herman, you were suspended earlier in the year for having the thing on your hand and whatever with that. And then you had the domestic thing a couple years ago. Stay out of trouble. Do what you got to do and pitch. The Yankees have a decent chance as long as at some point Judge can come back. They're still winning without Judge. We need Carlos Rendon, our big pitcher acquisition, to come back. Garrett Cole has been actually carrying us, so I have no issues with him. He's been doing well. Luis Servino has to find himself. Mm-hmm. And once they do that with the rotation, they have the best bullpen in baseball. Phenomenal bullpen on the work they've been doing. So the bullpen statistically is the best in baseball. And they're holding the pieces together with a lineup that in some places is old and sometimes it's just hit home run or bust. And they're still mathematically in it and at least 9 to 10 games over 500. So, like I said, I don't expect us to win the World Series. If we do, I'll probably walk around naked because I don't expect that. But I know we're better than that Queens team. I know we pitched a perfect game last night, and I know I'm not entertaining any conversations from teams who are 10 games under 500. I'm just not.
That's a fact. All right, that wraps up this episode. Nothing but that sports talk. Thank you for stopping by, Ryan Walker, to talk all things baseball and the WNBA, and I can't wait to see what happens from here. And yeah, so this is going to be very interesting.
See that Liberty win that Commissioner's Cup? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that game's going to be in Vegas again.
Thanks.
And to all the balls out there, get you in the game.